Okay, I will start to get started now. Today's Parent University is going to be on AAC Beyond the Therapy Room. This will take a look a little further at taking what we implement in our speech sessions and putting it into those real life situations for everybody. A little introduction about myself. My name is Marlee. I am a speech therapist here at Chicago Pediatric Therapy and Wellness Center. I received my undergraduate degree at University of Pittsburgh in communication science with a minor and a certificate. I received my master's out in New Jersey at Seton Hall University. And then I came back here to Chicago, where I was working in early intervention and in different private practices around the Chicagoland area. I then moved out to DC and worked at a private practice over there, and I have recently relocated back in the last year. I work with kids on receptive expressive language. I work on Gestalt language processing, apraxia speech, fluency, and of course, AAC, which is our topic for today. So our agenda for today is we're going to go over a quick review of what AAC is, different access to the device, how to model on the device, just learning and exploring on your child's device, and just sort of examples to use in everyday community. At the end of the presentation, I can open it up for questions as well, and we can sort of discuss if you guys have any specific questions for me or just in general regarding AAC as well. So what is AAC? AAC is augmentative and alternative communication. It is all different ways someone can communicate besides talking. So think your gestures, your nonverbal communication, your body language. The alternative side is the speech generating device, or as we're going to get into next, low tech options. So your core board or your pictures. So changing it and having other methods coming together. We have three different types. We have low tech, which are your core boards and pictures, as I just said. We have our mid tech, which we have things called go talks or single switch buttons. And then we have our high tech dedicated devices that have iPads with applications on them, such as Touch Chat, Lamp, Grid, Avaz. I believe those are the four we mostly use here at our clinic. There are more out there, but when you work with your speech therapist, they will do a whole process of feature matching and everything which works for your child. So this is what some low-tech options may look like. You have some picture cards on the left. On the right, you have a core board. This one looks like it's more of like a flip book. Then you have the mid-tech, so a single button, you would push it and it would say a single message. So this one would say go back. And then the Go Talk is sort of that core board in the device. And then you have your high-tech options. The one on your left is Touch Chat in a dedicated device, and the one on the right here is a eye gaze device, which we'll talk a little bit on access next. So access to AAC has two meanings. One is having it out throughout the entire day, which is great. So they have access to it to select and communicate. And then the other way of looking at it is physically actually touching and accessing that device. The way language acquisition happens is with this access, giving access to select and communicate, having those models. This device adds that ownership piece. It's an extension of them. It's part of their voice. We always want them to have access to their voice in the way they communicate. We don't turn off our voices, so we don't want to turn off theirs. So for example, we don't want to necessarily turn the volume down because that's sort of turning their voice off on their device. Additionally, think of that device as sort of like their cell phone. In today's day and age, everybody walks around with their cell phone. It is used for everything, and finding an accessible place in the house or in the community. It gives them access to what they want to communicate when they want to communicate. And then the physical access, there's different modes. As you saw with the devices, there's also ways you can use the eye gaze. You can use a finger or button or a switch, sometimes a stylus too, to write to. Any questions so far on that? Okay. Exposure and modeling. So with exposure and modeling, they are two different things that come together. By 18 months, babies often have heard 4,380 words of spoken language, and we don't expect them to be fluent speakers at that time. So for example, if AAC learners see the same symbols communicated twice daily for only 20 to 30 minutes, it will then take them 84 years to have all that language exposure to them, as much as an 18-month-old has in their life. So modeling is so important. We want to give as many models as we can, and we don't always expect them to have to then communicate it back. We just want to provide them with it. We're not going to sit there and tell them eat, 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 and they have to say it every time. It's just providing a way of that cause and effect. So that is what we call our model without expectation. You're providing a model and not expecting them to select the target after, and allowing them also to have processing time of what you said. So telling them, modeling on the device, more food, and then just sitting there and waiting to sort of see what they're going to communicate. Also, when modeling, we want to avoid hand over hand. So that is physically taking your child's hand and selecting the buttons for them. We want them to have the ability to sort of communicate their own information, and we don't want to force a communication that they may not be wanting to communicate. They may not want more food at that time, so we don't want to make them do that. If your child is having any difficulty accessing or selecting on that device, please speak further with, we can talk later after this. We can also you can set up times to speak with your SLP. This is a great time. Every device is individualized. So this is something that we will work with you and give you supports as needed. Also, just a little caveat, if your child is not responding to those models, it is still necessary exposure. It's still okay. It gives them those models that those verbal models have been given to in other ways. And the more you model and interact with the device, the more natural it will become. It won't feel as different. It'll become second nature, like when you are using your voice. When you are modeling, you don't need to do the whole sentence either. So when a little rule of thumb we use, we often talk about adding one word to what the child is doing independently. If your child's using single words to communicate, you're going to model 2 words. If they need support for 1 word currently, you're going to model 1 word at that time. And that may change over time and can go back and forth based on your child too. And that's okay. Again, our goal here is just to provide that model and that exposure and to get comfortable with it. When first getting started, we really recommend picking meaningful and words to focus on. Relate them to a specific activity they may like. If your child loves playing on the swing, you may use vocabulary such as swing or go, the core vocabulary of more. It doesn't have to be an extensive amount, but really focusing and looking for that meaningful connection. And really using what we call that core vocabulary on that homepage. On devices, typically that first page, we consider that home page, and there's a lot of core vocabulary, which is your goes, the mores, the all done. These are vocabulary that you can use in multiple settings within different contexts, but have that same meaning. So we want to just continue to provide that and carry that over. Any questions on that? I don't see anybody asking. Cool. We're going to go on to exploration next. For exploration, this isn't just for your child. This is for us as providers and as caregivers as well. All devices are individualized and organized in a variety of different ways. Some are categorical, some are motorically organized, and some are pragmatically or social organized. So for example, categorically, all your kiddos that are on Touch Chat are going to be organized categorically. LAMP, which is another program, is organized motorically. You're always going to find the word where the same motor plan. So the word orange is going to be in the same place as it is for the food word orange, and it's going to be in the same place as the color orange. It's the same motor plan. This will be completed when you work closely with your SLP. We'll work on programming preferred toys, foods, places. to help sort of organize that system and make it individualized to your child. So a lot of the time during your speech sessions, you'll sort of have the speech therapist send out to you being like, hey, what are some songs or some preferred foods? Because we want to put that in there. So then we can practice, model it, have that connection there. Because the internal motivation there, I want to talk about this preferred song and I can select it on my device. It's going to increase that usage. It's going to increase that exploration and just become more natural usage wise. Allowing your child to explore and select words on that homepage and the embedded pages. Exploration is functional and a learning tool. Sometimes you'll have kids just sort of go through and it seems like it may not be meaningful, but they're exploring, they're learning how to navigate from their homepage to their food page to their play page. It gives them time to figure out how to make those connections and how to express it in different ways. It may look like they're not necessarily communicating something in that moment, but it's still a learning experience, and we always want to foster that for them. And something we also always recommend as well is find time for you as a parent, caregiver, or even just any family member, it can be a sibling, to sort of sit down and explore the device as well. Get familiar with it. It doesn't have to be hours and hours on end. It can be 10 minutes after you put the kids to sleep, or a quick moment when you have a break from a sporting event kind of thing, and the TV turns off, let's do a quick check. The more you explore and learn yourself, the easier it will be for you to model on it as well. And something that's super great about a ton of these systems currently is they all have some type of word finding feature. So you go in and you can type in the target you're looking for, and it will highlight the path and help you get there. Depending on which device you have will determine where that word finding feature is. So again, because we have so many kids on LAMP and Touch Chat, I'm going to just sort of touch base on that right now. LAMP is in the settings area. You have to go up to sort of where you would do some programming to do some word finding there. And in Touch Chat, it would be in your ABC 123 page. You would just click it, type it in, hit find, and then click the pathway you would want to go. Some of the pathways can be a little wonky here and there, but you can choose which is just easier for you and your child. Before I continue, I want to check in on that. Does anybody have any questions on any of the information about modeling or exploration? Okay, cool. Let me continue. Let me reshare it. Perfect. It's good to see you. Okay. All right, let's get to the examples part. Now we get into the fun. Now that we've finished the review. Okay. So before I get into some of the examples, no one has to share really where they're feeling, but I want us to take a second to sort of think about where you and your family are sort of having this hurdle of access. If you're not having one, that's totally fine as well. I just want us to sort of reflect. So as I go through this, we can sort of chat and see, do we need some support in the home? Do we have a specific activity? Because there's a lot of different situations you can come up for, and those hurdles can be here, but we're here to work on it and chat and sort of problem solve and see how we can provide support as well. So the first example that we're going to talk about is just in your home. So not even though a lot of our kids are here and it's a second home, home is at home with mom, dad, siblings, grandma, aunt, uncle, who's ever in the house. So what we often recommend is to find a consistent place in the house to have access to device. It doesn't, while these devices can have straps and different handles to carry around, you don't have to always have it on you. You can put it somewhere, and then when you want to access it, go get it. You can also introduce the usage at one routine at a time. So sometimes I always tell families at mealtime, practice requesting more for your food, all done at mealtime. Asking for help on that main page or drink, which is a lot of good core vocabulary. You can work with your speech therapist and we can make pages of specific um, meal preferences of foods they like. So I know I work with some kiddos that love a good spaghetti. So we have spaghettis and we'll have different sauces and work on that. And that's something too of like the child can communicate. I don't want red sauce today. I would like some pesto green sauce. And that would just be a good sort of model in that moment. Another thing we always recommend is maybe trying it around bedtime. It can be hard because everybody's tired, but that's also a good time to provide that model of like, oh, I'm feeling tired, or just modeling the routine. First, we go to the bathroom, we take our bath, and then we read our book and we go to sleep. This can all change, all based on the individual routine in the house. Sometimes people like having it out during bath time because that's something that everybody's there and it's a family moment and everybody's there, and that's okay. It's to make it easiest for you and meaningful. We want the interactions and the models to have that meaning and that meaningful moment to give that power to that child. Something else you can do, not with the high tech, but maybe even the low tech device, is having associated symbols around the house. So taking a core board that looks like the touch chat board and cutting out parts of it and putting it out to sort of like match. So like the photo of bathroom in the device is next to the bathroom at home, or the photo of the someone is joining, 1 second. Okay, perfect. Hi. We're just going over people using the AC in the home environment right now. So we talked about having those associated symbols out and different things like that. There you go. That's okay. Okay. Now, another, didn't mean to do that. Another big thing for a lot of people is with the holidays coming up, family gatherings, there's a lot going on. Your kids going from grandparents or aunt's house or at your house. So bring that device with you. You can have it out in a safe spot there. If your safe spot is a little chair or a table in your house, see if you can find a little table and chair in their house. Introduce it to the family members. These are communication partners for this kiddo, and learn how to use and teach them how to use it. So your exploration can help them learn as well. It can be a whole family event. It's not that, yes, this device is this kiddo's communication, but if this is going to be a communication partner for your child, it's good for them to become familiar with it as well. We want everybody to sort of understand it and work on it together. We're all a team here. We can add family members and family places to utilize the vocabulary around it. So having grandma, grandpa, aunts, uncles, cousins, like their names and faces in the device. If you go to their grandma and grandpa's house, having a photo in the places folder of like, this is grandma and grandpa's house. That's where we're going. We can talk about it. And also you can always bring that low tech core board with you. Leave it at the family's houses as an option. You can have all different types of access through all different forms. It just because you have a core board doesn't mean you can't build up to a high-tech AAC device, and also speak with your speech therapist about that if that is the case and you are looking for that. Or if you have a high-tech, you don't have to just stick with the high-tech. You can use other low-tech options. We want all communication is valid and important, so giving a variety of ways for them to access that. Another big one, especially with cold and flu season coming up, is the doctor's offices, or just any sort of appointment in general. It can be even the dentist office. You can laminate a core board with body parts, talk about sometimes pain scales or different faces. I know doctors' offices will have that for a pain scale. They have the different facial expressions rather than the numbers now, which is great because it can represent how you feel physically and look. Using symbols for yes, no, more, stop. to sort of communicate, are you comfortable? Does that hurt? Can we keep going? Give different pictures. So point to a picture of a stomach and you can have a face that describes it as hurts a lot. So it's putting those sentences together, even with the low. I feel like core doctor's offices and some of those visits are a great opportunity to talk about emotions. There's a lot of emotions that go through everybody's body when they have to go to the doctor, because usually you're at the doctor's office when you're not feeling well. So modeling that language on the device, feel sick, or when you're hurting, modeling on that body page and connecting those phrases. We can put in full phrases into those devices. So I feel sick rather than having to select it, or I need medicine, and different things like that. And then working with your kid too is you can have pictures on the device or just low-tech pictures of the actual materials or the place in the doctor. So it allows your child to sort of follow along with the routine and steps, and they'll be familiar with them. They can talk about it. Oh, next I know they're going to take my temperature, and they can hit thermometer, or they're going to check my ears. And oh my goodness, I'm forgetting the name, what it is. I know it's an otoscope for the other thing. To look in the ears with the flashlight. My bad. Also with the holidays coming up, religious environments. We can put in different religious songs into devices. You can use those language of praise, song, the routine of standing or sitting or listening to a rabbi or a priest. You can put in familiar phrases or recorded phrases related to the different holiday. So peace be with you, happy Eid, Shabbat Shalom, or Merry Christmas. This is just sort of a great opportunity and some social exchanges they can have. They can communicate with the different people in that religious environment. We can have a core board, an AAC, and present and model on both during silent prayer. So that way they can sort of participate and also have that moment of that communication. With that said, devices also can utilize languages that aren't just English. There's a variety of different languages that different systems work with. I have a photo right here of a version of TouchChat in Spanish. You can also toggle between languages. So if you're at a religious ceremony and the language is not in English, there are ways to toggle between to communicate in both. The one caveat with this one is some manufacturers have only certain languages right now, but that is something you can speak with your speech therapist, and they can sort of work with you and sort of see how we can problem solve it. It can be tricky, but it's a great feature that these higher tech systems have, and we can make a core board in any language. It's pretty easy to do when you sit down and do it, which is great because we want to make sure all cultures, all religions are represented. That's a big part of all kids' lives. Another area that can be seen is the restaurants. Sometimes you want to go out with your family to a restaurant, and this can be a big part of some of those social interactions with children and their families, or just going out as they get older to a restaurant. At those restaurants, you can have them just practicing requesting food. It can be a core word of eat. You can go into what we call the fringe vocabulary or more specific vocabulary, and like saying what specific food. So if your child loves a good French fry, just say French fries. What would you like to order? You can practice requesting utensils or assistance with meals. So there's pages that talk about your forks, your spoons, your plates, your napkins. Requesting assistance also is great because that's something important to help in situations. If a child needs help self-feeding or just wants to get some more and they can't reach it, such as like have it help to pass the potatoes across the table. And also, I love a good protesting things they may not want. Everybody has their preferences and dislikes, and that's okay. And we want that child to have that power to say, hey, I don't want to eat this. No, thanks. At that meal time, it's a great time for greeting partners, saying hello, practicing asking questions. Several of the devices you can program pre-questions. So what are you eating? How was your day? Some other ones just have some of the simple where or what, and you can sort of fill in from there the question you want to ask. It's a great time to just have that back and forth interaction with the device in that social setting. Um, Another thing you can do is comment on the food items. So talking about, is it hot? Is it cold? Is it salty? Is it sweet? All different things you can sort of, I like it, I don't like it. So as you explore, and sometimes they may have new food experiences, and that's a good time to sort of just chat about it. What was that experience for you? Another thing, as we talked about previously, modeling during those natural interactions. It doesn't have to be a consistent, oh, you're eating, I'm going to select eat. Oh, you're eating, I'm going to select eat. Every so often, oh, it looks like you ate it. Let's eat some more, and just sort of waiting and seeing what happens. Um, Giving those language and those words that meaningful interaction. Um, Individualization, back to that, we can make pages that are specific to what your child likes. So a specific food or even a restaurant. If your child's favorite restaurant is McDonald's, we can to make a page dedicated to McDonald's. We can talk about the kids' meal, the McFlurry, the French fries and everything, how the ice cream machine is always broken. That's something we can always do because that is something you would talk about around it and giving them that way of communicating it. If your child is a little bit more of an experienced AAC user, you can have them practice ordering their own meal. And this is something you can do or just model too if they're maybe not as experienced as well. It's something that just gives natural interactions and more modeling and exposure to make it more natural, as we discussed. A big one for the summer, as it gets a little colder, it may be tricky. So fingers crossed it stays a little warmer longer. Parks, they're a great place to have so much fun with everybody. If your child is a mover and groover, finding a safe place to have access in the park is really great, or even just having a caregiver hold it. The kid knows you have it, they can come to you to tell you something. Practicing your social interactions with peers there, telling them, hey, it's my turn on the swings, or oh, it's my turn going down the slide. Greetings to meet new people. Hi, my name is, and you can put in your child's name. All great practice. And also interactions with kids probably close to their same age. A lot of focusing on that main page, working on that core vocabulary, utilizing action words, which is great at the park because they're always moving and grooving. Go, slide, swing, climb, jump. Working on help if you need more support with gross motor tasks, or even more to ask for repetition. So you're on that swing, giving a push, more, I want to swing more. Having also something really cool that's been coming up more and more in the community is some parks are putting in low-tech boards that allow kids to sort of go up and point there. So you can have your high tech, you can carry your own board. I always recommend having a backup. You never know when your device may die, and that can be tricky. So having a way for them to communicate if technology does fail, but it's great because it's already there at the park embedded. So these are some examples that are out in communities in general now. So it can look like having those core words. The one on the left has some letters so you can spell, or numbers to say how many times. So I want to swing 3 more times, pointing to the 3 and different things like that. It's great to see this in the community and sort of see that access for all in those moments to be communicated. With this past summer, we had a lot of families talking about concerns going to the pools and beaches. It's hot. You want to swim. You want to enjoy that nice warm weather. But devices are technology, and the worry of water and technology is truly there. So there are companies out there that make waterproof cases. They make waterproof screen protectors. So looking into getting some accessories to sort of help with that. People sometimes also get super crafty and handy, and they'll take a kickboard and make a core board. That is this picture I have up right now, just so it's something they could bring in the water with them to communicate. When I was in grad school, I went to an observation and they had picture cards that were laminated and waterproof, and they just stuck them on the side of the pool. There's different ways to sort of access it and keep your device protected and continue that communication, which is great, especially when water and water play is so motivating to these kids. We want them to have access to communicate that to us in those situations because we want them to have those same experiences. Another time that families often sometimes may have a hard time accessing device, just a community event or music events. You're already carrying so much, it can get tricky. However, there's ways around that. You can make just a single dedicated page to that event. So if you're going to a specific concert, make a page dedicated to that concert. You can use that same page as a low-tech board. So it has the same photos and identification. So you can talk about it in the same way, but one's on the low-tech board and then one's on the high-tech device. If your child is super into art in an arts class, you can make boards with the materials they'll be using, the different colors, the people in the space, and talk about what you see in the space. So, for example, a pottery class may have the pottery wheel, but a painting class will have easels. So just having that different vocabulary and dedicated and talking about it. Music classes, talking about the instruments. You could have the songs that you know could be happening, talking about the volume. Is it too loud? Is it too quiet? Should we sing it fast? Should we sing it slow? Giving them different descriptors and language that they can make those requests, because those are requests that come up in those sessions. And back to pre-programmed phrases, we can put phrases in. I love painting, or can I have the blue marker, or whatever color and item they would want, sort of putting it together for them to have that access. It gives them the whole picture in those moments. And then another cool thing, especially the high-tech devices can do, a lot of them, is we can take physical auditory recordings or snippets of songs and sometimes put them in. So if they're at a music class and they want to request a song, they don't always have to just say play and then the song name. They can say play and then play a little snippet so everybody knows what specific song it is. Also, having that on the device and having them hear it can be super highly motivating to kids, wanting for them to help sort of communicate that song to you or even explore it and play it. It's really, really fun, and all the things you can do on these devices. Birthday parties, kids every year have birthday parties, and a lot can be happening around. There's kids running around, there is cake, there's singing. So you can have, again, those picture boards and dedicated devices talking about the cake, the balloons, the different games you may play. If you're dancing to music at the party, working on emotions. I'm so happy to be here. I'm a little overwhelmed. There's so many people here. Going up to the person having the birthday, you can tell them happy birthday with a programmed phrase, or joining in, can I play that game too? And a big one at those bigger, louder events, those self-advocacy phrases. This is too noisy. I need a quiet space. I need a break. They're great ways to sort of practice those moments and just model on it. But again, it doesn't have to be in every second. It can be, oh, I see the birthday person. We can tell them happy birthday and click the button, point to the person, show, and just see what happens. We want these to feel natural and meaningful to the child. Also at birthday parties, because it is your peers and other people in the community, it's a great time to talk about the device, and other ways to communicate. So yeah, we use a core board. We can point to the words to communicate what we're thinking, or yeah, this is my child's device. It has verbal output and it helps him communicate, and it's another way he talks. So it becomes more widely known, and on top of that, sort of everybody knows how to use it and learn, just like you do at family gatherings. It gives that exposure and just the knowledge there, which is great. Knowledge is always power. Before I go on, I want to double check again if there is any questions. Okay. Thanks, Tanika. Okay. Ooh. My computer is being wacky. Okay. So shopping, um, holidays coming up, Christmas, Hanukkah, all the holidays, lots happening. It's a big one. So going clothing shopping, you can, or grocery store shopping every week for food for the family. You can include your child in that. We could bring picture cards like on the side I have here where it says the grocery store. We're gonna go down the aisle. Here's our grocery list. What do we need to get first? Have them choose. Should we get the grains, the fruit, or the vegetables? Um, at the grocery store, or you can ask social questions, push the button of where is this food? Where can I find it? They can also utilize their own food page to help make the grocery list. So what would you like to eat this week? Let's make a list together. Let's go to our food page and talk about what we can order. Shopping for clothes, circling back, talking about the different clothing we have, dresses, pants, t-shirts, sweatshirts, snow boots as it gets cold here in Chicago, putting them saying on or saying off to take off. When you're shopping, everybody has opinions about the clothes. Do you like it? Yes, no. How does it feel? Does it feel too big? Does it feel too small? Is it itchy? All good ways to expand and give these experiences in those meaningful moments for that kid. Travel, um, one that is big and can seem a little daunting sometimes when you have so much stuff with your AAC device. However, there's so much we can do with travel and sort of giving you support with that. A big one is before you travel, just making sure you have the accessories with you, making sure the device is charged, the charging cable comes with you. If you have a specific case or a key guard, it's usually that clear item that goes over that helps sort of separate the different boxes, having the strap with you. That's usually the first step I always recommend. The next thing is backing up your system. There are ways to drop the system onto another device or the language. If God forbid anything happens, accidents happen, it's okay. But by having that backup, it allows you to make sure it's not as much as a worry there. You can ask any of us here that you work with as speech therapists, and we can help you back it up. We have AAC systems here we use in clinic. And we can also show you how to Dropbox it to yourself and on the iCloud. Great options with technology nowadays. I also always recommending printing a low-tech option that matches sort of your kid system. So if your child's on LAMP, having a low-tech board that looks like that LAMP main page, or if you have TouchChat, the same, or a Vase or Grid. I also sometimes we talk about there's medical ID bracelets, sometimes having a medical ID or communication form, which explains why the device is being used the way it is. It's not always necessary, but it's sometimes something it's good to have just in case. You never know if there are questions of why is this out? What's the use of it? It just sort of gives the medical necessity there. Prior also adding the vocabulary. So that's related to the trip. Vocabulary related to the airport, the steps of security, the place you're going. And then if you're traveling out of the country, if they speak another language, there are options that we talked about before that we can code switch between two languages or work on options that speak different language and translations, which is great. You can practice this information prior to going via social stories or books or activities. And then when you're there, of course, using it. But just sort of getting used to using that vocabulary prior and also sort of helping prep your kid for travel. Travel can seem big and daunting, and just those social stories and prep can just relieve that for everybody. I feel like even when I travel, I have those moments, and talking through it is always helpful. A little bit more about at the airport, if traveling by plane, you can talk up to security about it. Like it's a metal equipment device. It's part of how my child communicates. If you really need one, your SLP can sort of write a letter, but you may not need it depending on the security person. This is something that does vary, but if you have concerns about it, that is something we can do. Also, make sure your device is always in your carry-on. Checked luggage, it's great. You can send more there, but luggage can go missing, and we don't want your child's device to go missing. So make sure it's something they're always carrying on with them. When you're on the plane, you can put it on airplane mode. That's not going to cause any problems. They'll still be able to access everything. If anything, they wouldn't be able to, if your device is linked to like internet links, that may not work, but those core language will still be working. And then having those low tech options available, picture cards, core boards as backup items, or if the device is away, having it out, because you may not be able to have it out during takeoff or landing. Having it out is another way to communicate. This whole aspect of travel can be adapted to a train or even a car. If you are traveling by car, something you can do, or just from place to place with a car, taking a core board and putting it on the back seat of the chair in front of where the kid sits, or if they're in a backward seated car seat, putting it where they can still see it. So they always have access during the car rides. Even if it's just talking about, oh, we're gonna go for a ride, or look at that, and saying to look out the window, different opportunities. Like I said in the beginning, the more models, the more exposure, the more natural and easier it will feel. Also during travel, you can inform the staff of the hotel you're staying at about the AC if it's needed. For communication purposes or just safety purposes. Most hotels typically have safes in the room that you can place the AC device in when not in use. They also do make trackers nowadays. I know they have like the Apple AirTags. I know I've bought for my own devices, like sometimes they make stickers too that you can just stick on and you can find it. Have those both high tech. You can bring those waterproof cases, great time for those vacations to the beach or where there's a pool, and looking for those meaningful moments. So your kids having a blast running around with their siblings or family at an event on vacation. Oh, this is fun. And just having that connection of the emotion with that word in that moment. Any questions about any of that? Or any questions just in general related to that you may have specific to things going on with your guys' families? I want to thank everybody for coming. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any other questions or concerns, oh, can you change the voice or pronunciation? Yes, we can. You in the device, there's something in the settings that you can change the voice. That's something that's actually great. I appreciate you bringing that up. There are voices for people that identify as women, that identify as men, that identify as boys, girls. We can change it age-wise. We can go in also into the actual, if you're talking about a specific vocabulary word also, we can always go in and edit that specific word and play around in it and do like a transliteration, not on like the label, but how it's pronounced. So there are for sure ways that we can do that. If you just want to send me those words, I can do that for you because I will be seeing him next week. And then anything else? Does that answer your question? Of course. If there's no other questions, it was great hanging out, teaching you a little bit about more of AAC outside of the therapy room. Any other questions please feel free to reach out to me or your speech therapist you're working with. We are all here to individualize your device to your child and finding a way for them to communicate for themselves. Thank you.